Joining me today is former Michigan Congressman Peter Hoekstra, who served as chairman and ranking member of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Congressman Hoekstra, welcome.
It's good to be with you, Fred. Thank you.
Congressman, I wanted to ask you some questions about radical Islam after the death of Osama bin Laden. Some of the administration have been citing the death of bin Laden as justification for reducing our troop strength in Afghanistan. What is your reaction to that?
I think it's way too early to tell. I think obviously there's the initial euphoria. Bin Laden is gone. I think every American was thrilled that this guy was brought to justice. Now, we'll have to wait and see whether the new leadership of Al-Qaida is going to be more effective, or whether we've really lopped the head off of Al-Qaida and they're now rudderless, they're leaderless, and they start to collapse. But I mean, Zawahiri's out there. We've seen Al-Awlaki and Al-Qaida on the Arabian Peninsula. Do these people now move up, and do they create a different kind of a threat to the United States because they're now going to implement new strategies and tactics that bin Laden refused to consider? That Al-Qaida could end up stronger. We just don't know.
Well, let's talk about Anwar al-Awlaki and his role as a leader in Al-Qaida in the Arabian Peninsula. This is a franchise of Al-Qaida. What are your concerns about AQAP, the Al-Qaida in the Arabian Peninsula?
AQAP, number one, they are focused on attacking the U.S. Bin Laden, I think, for a long time was more focused on what was going on in Iraq, more focused on what was going on in the Afghan theater, and kind of had lost focus on targeting the homeland. Anwar al-Awlaki clearly is focused on attacking the United States. He understands us. He speaks our language. He's an American-born cleric. He's a U.S. citizen. This guy is very, very dangerous, and I think that he's more creative than the old leadership of Al-Qaida, and this is why I think that we should fear him, and why we need to do everything to go after him and either capture or kill him as well.
Can you talk about so-called homegrown terrorists and lone wolf terrorists, and whether they will still be a threat to the United States and its allies after the death of bin Laden?
Yeah, because I think they will continue to be a threat. They'll continue to be a threat because it was people like Al-Awlaki that were starting to develop this. I mean, Al-Awlaki's publishing the online magazine Inspire, which talks about bomb making, which talks about the aspirations of homegrown terrorists, which talks about the lone wolf phenomena. And we saw it with Major Hassan. We've seen it in other cases where it appears that Al-Awlaki and his writings were the inspirations for lone wolves. The lone wolf, they're very, very deadly. They're not deadly on a massive scale, but whether it's 5, 10, 15 American lives, or whether it's 50, it's a threat. A lone wolf. We saw one being successful. We've seen a lot of them fail because they've been incompetent, but I believe that it will be part of an emerging strategy of Al-Qaida. They're clearly frustrated. We killed bin Laden. We got a big, big success. They've had really no successes for an extended period of time. I think you're going to see perhaps more attacks on a smaller scale.
Congressman Hoekstra, let's talk about the way the Obama administration has handled the threat from radical Islamic terrorism. Talk about how they've handled this threat, and have you seen any improvements in the Obama administration's policies since they've been in office?
Well, I think you go back to Secretary Napolitano refusing to, I think, use the word terrorist, refusing to use the word war. They wanted, within 24, 36 hours of coming into office, they wanted to close Gitmo. They condemned the use of Predator drones and all of these types of things. We are now 2.5 years into an Obama administration. Press reports are that he's using drones in many more places than what the Bush administration does, or than what the Bush administration did, that he's using them on a more frequent basis. And the drones, this is not for surveillance. This is unmanned aerial drones dropping 500-pound bombs of groups of people who we suspect to be terrorists. And he's using them more frequently than, at least again according to press reports, than what Bush ever did. Gitmo is still open. As a matter of fact, some of the people that are at Gitmo provided the information through enhanced interrogation techniques that were implemented under the Bush administration to enable this president to successfully execute the raid against bin Laden. And so in many respects, this president is carrying out more aggressively the policies of the previous administration, the policies that he condemned, all except one. And that is, he's not doing enhanced interrogations.
Congressman Hoekstra, you worked very hard to keep Guantanamo Bay inmates out of the United States, especially from an effort to bring them into a prison into Michigan. I have one final question for you, and that concerns where the Obama administration will go on Guantanamo if Mr. Obama is reelected. Do you think this is a permanent decision, or will this decision be reversed after 2012 if the president is reelected?
No, I think the president and his attorney general consistently say that they want to close Gitmo. Without offering really any alternatives as to where these folks are going to go. They've recognized that the U.S. Congress is not going to let us is not going to let this president put these people into the United States. The other thing that they've realized is that our allies around the world, they don't want any part of these Gitmo folks either. So they will, I think, continue to espouse the rhetoric that Gitmo needs to close, that it's the inspiration for radicalization around the world, which we know is not true. But at the end of the day, they will not find anybody who's willing to take the Gitmo prisoners, because by and large, the ones that are left there are deadly, they are dangerous, and nobody wants them walking on their streets, and nobody wants them housed in a prison in their community.
Congressman Peter Hoekstra, thank you.
Hey, great, thank you.